Welcome back to the deep dive. So, last time we really got into the surprising world of digital pianos. We
Hmm.
looked at just how far they've come, their capabilities, the convenience factor,
Yeah,
and we even sort of landed on this idea that, the best digitals can sometimes outperform basic acoustics.
it's true. It's really a unique time, historically speaking, for the piano. You've got this genuine blurring of the lines,
A real
a
overlap.
significant overlap, yeah, where these high-end digitals are really quite amazing, and like you said, can definitely surpass some entry-level acoustics.
Right. And that whole discussion really shifts the focus, doesn't it? It makes it less about just ticking feature boxes
Hmm.
and more about the actual sound, the physics of it all.
Exactly.
So today we're kind of flipping the script. We're going to park the convenience discussion, the price points we talked about last time.
Okay.
Our mission for this deep dive is to unpack why premium acoustic pianos still have this unique, maybe even irreplaceable place.
Right. What makes them them?
Yeah, what's the enduring appeal beyond the obvious stuff? We want to get into the deeper reasons.
And I think, as we get into this, you're going to find some genuinely surprising things. Stuff rooted in, like, actual physics,
Mm.
in the engineering, but also just the human experience of music itself.
So the aim is a really thorough, kind of nuanced understanding of these incredible instruments.
That's the goal, understanding what makes them so special, fundamentally.
Okay, let's dive in then. First big point.
Yeah.
The sheer complexity of acoustic sound. It seems unmatched.
And it is.
And you said it comes down to physics. So how does a good acoustic with its strings, that big soundboard, the larger body, how does it deliver something so much more complex audibly?
Well, it starts with the building blocks of sound partials and harmonics.
Mm-hmm.
These are all the extra frequencies that color a single note.
Okay.
Now, if you take a note, say concert A440.
Standard tuning, yeah.
Right. Play that on a really top-tier digital, and then play it on, let's say, an upper mid-range grand piano. The acoustic produces a dramatically different set of these partials.
Different how? Just more of them.
More, yes, but also they're more organized, structured, they have a different kind of life to them, how they sustain, how they decay. It's much more intricate.
Okay, but I can hear someone thinking, well, if I can't consciously hear all those tiny extra frequencies beyond a certain point, do they really matter?
That's a fair question. And, maybe a single upper partial way up high might be technically beyond easy perception on its own.
Right.
But the real magic, the true complexity, it happens when you play multiple notes together.
So chords, harmonies.
Exactly. 5 notes, 10 notes, maybe even 20 notes held in the pedal. Those extended upper partials, even the subtle ones, they interact, they blend, they actually create new secondary harmonics through interference.
So it's the combination that unlocks it.
Precisely. Musicians might not use the term secondary harmonics, but they'll talk about richness or feeling a connection with the tone. That's what they're hearing, what they're feeling.
And this is where digital runs into a wall.
Fundamentally, yes. Think about it. Your typical commercial-grade speakers and amps in a digital piano, however good, they just aren't designed to reproduce, say, 12 partials per note with perfect accuracy and model all those incredibly complex interactions when notes blend.
It's a limitation of the speaker system versus
Yeah.
what? Organic resonance.
Exactly that. It's the difference between projecting sound from specific points versus the entire instrument vibrating and creating sound organically.
Okay, so that complexity, that richness,
Yeah.
how does it actually feel to the person playing? Is it something they're consciously analyzing, or is it more, subconscious?
I'd say it's often subconscious, but it's definitely felt. It influences everything, and that leads us right into another massive advantage for acoustics.
Dynamic range.
Right, the louds and softs. Yeah. And even the very best digital pianos, they really only approach the kind of dynamic range you might find on, say, a decent 44-inch console upright,
Yeah.
a smaller acoustic.
Just approach it. Wow.
Yeah, so when you start moving up to larger acoustics, like a big 52-inch upright, or certainly a 6-foot grand piano,
Then the difference becomes huge.
oh, vast, absolutely vast. The sheer power,
Yes.
the volume output potential, but also the range of tone from the quietest possible pianissimo to a thundering fortissimo.
Hmm.
It just blows digital away, even premium digital.
I can see how that would be crucial for certain music, like big classical pieces.
For sure. Think of concertos or dynamic romantic repertoire or even expressive jazz where you need that instant shift from a whisper to a roar,
Yeah.
that huge palette of volume and tone color. It's
Yeah.
just unparalleled expression for the performer. It's like giving a painter vastly more colors to work with.
Okay. And sticking with how the sound gets out of the piano,
Mm.
you mentioned speakers and digitals being spot sources.
Mm-hmm.
Right, maybe 4, 5, 6 speakers pointing in different directions. How does that contrast with an acoustic?
It's a completely different phenomenon. I sometimes use this analogy. Imagine comparing two bright, focused light bulbs shining at you
Okay.
versus holding a glowing ball, like a handful of light that radiates in all directions.
Ah, I see. Ambient versus directional.
Exactly. The acoustic piano is that handful of light. The sound isn't just coming from speaker cones, the entire instrument is resonating. The soundboard, the case, the frame, everything
So
contributes.
the instrument itself is the source, not just components inside it.
Correct. And crucially, that sound is omnidirectional. It leaves the piano in pretty much all directions.
Which means it interacts with the room totally differently.
Totally. It bounces off the floor, the ceiling, the walls. With uprights, a lot of sound comes off the back, reflects off the wall behind it.
It's reading this wash of sound.
A cascade, yeah. It's an environmental, immersive experience. It surrounds you. Mass-produced speaker systems, even sophisticated ones, just can't replicate that feeling of being inside the sound.
That makes sense.
Ah,
Okay, let's shift slightly to the mechanics, the feel,
yeah.
the action.
Yes, the action. And the pedals.
Right. So on high-end acoustics, you mentioned brands like C. Bechstein, Bosendorfer, Fagioli.
Yeah.
The level of craftsmanship in the action is just incredible.
Astounding. We're talking hundreds of moving parts per key and potentially hundreds of hours of meticulous work regulation by incredibly skilled artisans
Just to get it perfect.
to ensure it behaves with absolute precision and consistency across every possible key press, every velocity, every dynamic level. It's painstaking work.
No, something you touched on, the pedals. Specifically the soft pedal, the left one. You said digitals often don't get this right.
They rarely do, in my experience, and it's often misunderstood. It's not just about making the sound quieter or slightly different tonally, though it does that.
What else does it do?
Well, crucially, on an acoustic piano, it changes the feel.
The feel of the keys under your fingers.
Yes. Especially on an upright, depressing the soft pedal physically moves the hammer rail closer to the strings. This changes the lost motion and significantly alters the touch, the response.
And on a
And
grand.
on a grand, it shifts the entire keyboard mechanism slightly sideways so the hammers hit fewer strings or a softer part of the hammer felt. This changes the timbre, yes, but it also fundamentally changes the player's connection, their relationship with the keys in terms of dynamic control and responsiveness.
Wow. So does a tactile change as much as an auditory one?
Absolutely. And for players who really rely on subtle control, what we might call finesse players, that lack of authentic change in both the feel and the tone when using the soft pedal on most digitals, it's a huge missing piece, a real musical gap. It limits their expressive capability right at the interface.
That's a really crucial difference that probably doesn't get talked about enough.
Not nearly enough.
Okay, moving beyond the playing itself, there's the whole aspect of longevity, legacy,
Yeah.
and this intriguing idea, the magic of imperfection.
Right. Let's start with the practical. Longevity. It's simple, really. Great acoustic pianos are built to last.
How long are we talking?
A century? Easily. Maybe more with proper care and rebuilding. They're multi-generational instruments.
Compared to digital pianos.
Which, are electronic devices. Typically, you're looking at maybe 10, 15, perhaps 20 years if you're lucky, before technology moves on or components fail.
And resale value reflects that, I imagine.
Dramatically. A fine acoustic piano can hold or even increase in value. A digital piano depreciates much like other electronics.
But it's more than just practicality, isn't it? There's an appeal.
There absolutely is. It's an instrument made of natural materials, wood, felt, metal. There's often a connection to the maker, the history of that specific instrument, and just the sheer joy of its sound.
And the imperfections, you mentioned that. How does imperfection become appealing?
Well, it's about character. An organic instrument isn't static. It lives, it breathes, it changes subtly over time with humidity, with playing. It develops these slight morphing characteristics.
Little quirks.
Kind of, yeah. They're not flaws necessarily, but unique traits. And musicians often form a deep connection with these. I remember a pianist telling me once their favorite grand had a heartbeat in its
A
resonance.
heartbeat. That's evocative. So it feels more like a relationship.
Very much so. And think about this. Play a chord on a great grand piano, hold it with the pedal.
Mm-hmm.
You'll hear these complex, undulating interference harmonics shimmering above the main notes. It's almost impossible to get that exact sound on a digital.
And it's slightly different each time.
Exactly. There's this element of unpredictability, a kind of give and take. It feels like the instrument is responding to you in a living way. That's the basis of a real musical relationship.
And these spots of magic you mentioned.
Yeah, sometimes you sit down at an acoustic piano and there's just something special. Maybe it's one particular note that just rings perfectly or a certain register that inspires you.
And that can actually change how you play.
Absolutely. Pianists often talk about specific instruments, pushing them in new directions, suggesting different keys, different styles. It's like the piano itself is contributing to the creation. These moments, these spots of magic, are part of the allure.
It makes sense why musicians who really love these magical machines, as you put it,
Yeah.
might feel a bit conflicted when they hear about how great digitals are now.
There can be a clash, definitely, because you have this deep, almost personal connection to the acoustic experience. And then there's the undeniable convenience and capability of modern digitals. They both have value, but that premium acoustic experience offers something, well, fundamentally different.
So pulling this all together for you listening,
Mm-hmm.
we've really seen that premium acoustics offer this depth of sound you just don't get elsewhere.
Mm-hmm. Those complex harmonics, the blending.
Right. And then there's the dynamic range just way beyond digital, from a whisper to a roar.
Huge difference.
Plus that immersive surrounding sound, not directional speakers, but the whole instrument singing.
That omnidirectional ambient quality.
Yeah. We also got into the finesse of the action, that incredible craftsmanship, and the massive difference the soft pedal makes to the feel, not just the sound.
That often overlooked tactile element, crucial.
And finally, the longevity, the legacy, and this really interesting idea of connecting with an instrument that has character, imperfections, that evolves with you.
That musical relationship aspect.
It really does go miles beyond just convenience or price, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And perhaps to tie this all together, here's something to think about. Given how personal that bond can become, that relationship musicians form with acoustics because of their quirks, their character,
Yeah.
how much does the actual personality of an instrument shape a musician's creative path, their choices, their sound, their journey?
That is a really fascinating thought to end on, and maybe something for you, the listener, to consider too. Have you ever had an experience, maybe with an instrument, maybe some other creative tool, even a hobby, where the tool itself seemed to have a distinct personality? And how did that unique character influence you? What you created or the direction you took? Something to mull over.